अधिकांश प्रश्नहरू भनेको प्राय हिन्दू गुरुहरूले बुद्ध या बुद्ध धर्मको बारेमा भनेको पाइन्छ जो बौद्धहरूलाई चित्त नबुझेको.
Most of these questions are being asked because of what various Hindu gurus have been saying about the Buddha and the Buddha Dharma. Buddhists have been troubled by this and thus have raised these questions. From about 380 onwards, Hindus have written many Purans to devalue Buddhism and to lower its status. According to the historians, this was started after the 3rd century and it went on even up to the 15th century. And among these is the Bhavishya Puran and the Srimad Bhagavad referred to by the Shankaracharya of Puri. It is in the Srimad Bhagavad where the birth of a Buddha in Kikat is mentioned. It says,
Anjana Sutta Kikatesu. Anjana Sutta भनेको अन्जनाको पुत्र बाहुनीको र किकटेसु भनेको किकट भनेको गाया हो. बोध गाया नजिकको गाया.
Anjana Sutta Kikatesu. Anjana Sutta means the son of Anjana, a Brahmin woman, and Kikatesu refers to the place Kikat, which is the present Gaya near the city of Bodh Gaya. So, many Purans such as these were written, including the Vishnu Puran, Harivamsha Puran, Bhagavad Puran, Linga Puran, Padma Puran, Garud Puran, Bhavishya Puran, etc. And such things are stated in other later writings as well. But all the Purans do not have consensus on this. It is in the Bhagavad Puran, also known as Srimad Bhagavad,
चाहिँ ब्राह्मणको छोरा अन्जना भनी आमा भएको र गयामा जन्मेको बुद्ध भनेर भनेको छ र शंकराचार्यज्यूले यही नै पुराण लेख्नु भएको हो.
Where it is written that a Buddha who is the son of a Brahmin and whose mother's name is Anjana is supposed to have been born in Gaya. And Shankaracharya ji of Puri wrote this based on this Puran. But the other Purans do not say this. This is the first point. Secondly, where is the historical data about a Buddha who is the son of a Brahmin and who was born in Gaya? Who is this Buddha? Where is the evidence regarding him? And what and whom did he teach? There is no evidence of any of it. This is just fiction, made up over the centuries by Brahmins who had no background of Buddha Dharma, who never even studied Buddha Dharma, but just held on to the view that the Buddha is wrong, and that Buddha Dharma is wrong, and they just, without any factual basis, portrayed the Buddha to be a Brahmin as well. The reason the Buddha was portrayed as a Brahmin was that most Buddhists, from the time of the Buddha up to the time of the writing of these texts, were Brahmins. The two Agrashravakas or main disciples of Bhagavan Buddha, Shariputra and Maudgalyayan, were Brahmins. The head of the Sanghayan or Buddhist council, Mahakashyap, was also a Brahmin, and so were the two Kashyap brothers, who each had 1,000 Brahmin disciples studying the Vedas with them, and they all took refuge with Bhagavan Buddha. We can see from this that many Brahmins had already become Buddhists during the time of the Bhagavan Buddha himself. In a later different topic, we will look at why, if so many Brahmins had become Buddhists in those times, don't Buddhist Brahmins exist now, and why don't Brahmins become Buddhists now? Then, even in later centuries, if we read the stories of the 84 Mahasiddhas,
अधिकांश ब्राह्मणहरू नै थिए. सरापाद ब्राह्मण थिए, कृष्णाचार्य ब्राह्मण थिए, धेरै अरूहरू पनि ब्राह्मण जातकै थिए. तर उनीहरूले आफूलाई ब्राह्मण भन्ने इम्पोर्टेन्स मान्दैनथे.
Many of them were Brahmins. Sarapat was a Brahmin, Krishnacharya was a Brahmin, and many others were also from the Brahmin caste. But they did not consider the fact that they were Brahmin as important. It is just that they happened to be born in a Brahmin family. When one enters the Buddha Dharma, one does not remain a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Shudra, etc. These are not relevant anymore. Now the Srimad Bhagavad and other Purans like the Bhavishya Puran were being written even until the 15th century. The way these were written was that a chapter may be written in the 3rd century and another one is written in the 5th century and so on. and thus some of them have been written even in the 15th century. And the reason we know this is that we can find the names of kings from the 15th century written in them. There are names of kings from the 5th century and from the 10th century, etc. And events from these various periods can be found written there as well. This is why they assumed that the Buddha must be a Brahmin, which was not correct. So the Srimad Bhagavat wrote of a Buddha who was the son of a Brahmin and was born in Gaya, but there is no information about what he taught, where he taught, and whom he taught.
अब कथा त के छ अन्य पुराणहरूमा कि असुरहरूले वेद अभ्यास गरेर एकदम शक्तिशाली भए र यदि शक्तिशाली भए कि देवताहरूलाई जित्न थाले.
Now there are stories in the other Purans about the Asuras or demigods who became very powerful by practicing the Vedas. They became so powerful, they started becoming victorious over the Devas or the gods. So here the question arises, did the Devas not practice the Vedas themselves? Is that why the Asuras became more powerful after practicing the Vedas and started defeating them? But there is something that does not quite make sense about this. However, that is the story. Then the Devas all went to Vishnu for help. Vishnu reassured them, saying that he would take incarnation in his worst aspects, that is of Maya Moha or deceptive aspects, and confuse the Asuras and have them adopt a wrong path. This would then make them weaker and the Devas could then obtain victory over them.
बुद्धलाई माया मोह अवतार भनेछ. कतिपय हिन्दूहरूले नपढेको हिन्दूहरू सोध्छ कि हैन अवतार मानेछ नि राम्रै मानेछ नि हामीले भन्ने सोध्छ, तर त्यो त नपढेको हिन्दूहरूले भन्ने हो.
Now here the Buddha is depicted to be a Maya Moha avatar or deceptive incarnation of Vishnu. A lot of Hindus who have not studied the texts themselves think that Hindus regard the Buddha highly as an avatar of Vishnu. But this is just the thinking of Hindus who have not read the texts, which in fact say Maya Moha avatar or deceptive incarnation, one that tricks and deceives. Now the question arises as to why such a Maya Moha avatar or deceptive incarnation of Vishnu takes birth in the human realm. Since he took incarnation to confuse the Asuras or demigods, he should have taken birth in the Asura realm. This is evident. Otherwise, how would the Asuras be weakened by him taking birth in the human realm and teaching humans? So here the writer has portrayed Buddhists as Asuras or demigods. This is clear. But in the Vedas as well as in Buddha Dharma, Asuras are a different class of beings. There is a different realm whose residents are called Asuras. Here in this human realm, everyone is a human, no matter who they are and where they are born. So the question arises as to why he was born in the human realm and taught humans instead of teaching the Asuras. And it is the same issue in the story of the son of the Brahmin of Gaya. Where are the teachings of that Buddha? And why was he not born in the realm of the Asuras? And why was he instead born in Gaya? Gaya is not an Asura realm, it is in the human realm. They say he taught there, but where is the information on what he taught? Someone who is supposed to be a Buddha has to teach. This shows that whoever wrote this did not even know what the word Buddha means. It seems to have been forgotten. It is an attempt to refute Buddha Dharma without any study of it, to just refute it by any means. This tendency continued in Hinduism in the later centuries as well.
जस्तै शङ्कराचार्यको पनि सत्य के हो भनी खोज भन्दा पनि जसरी पनि वेद ठीक हो भने प्रमाणित गर्नै पर्छ.
For example, Shankaracharya was intent on proving that the Vedas are correct no matter what, rather than actually seeking out the truth. He wanted to establish the Vedas as the truth, whether or not this was actually the case. This was Shankaracharya's agenda. This agenda did not exist prior to him in the Vedic Dharma. Instead, the adherents would present their Dharma and would discuss the details of what that was with others. And in the course of such discussions, thousands of Vedic Brahmins, upon seeing that what the Buddha taught was superior became his disciples, and the patron kings of these Vedic Brahmins also became the disciples of Buddha.
त यो किकटेसु अञ्जना सुत किकटेसु हैन ले कहाँ सिकायो उसको सिकाएको रेकर्ड कहाँ छ उनले कसलाई सिकायो र कहाँ हो कहाँ पाइन्छ त्यो त कहीँ पनि पाइँदैन.
So this Buddha, who is supposed to be Kikatesu, Anjana Sutta Kikatesu, or the son of Anjana, born in Kikat, where did he teach? Where are the records of his teachings? Whom did he teach? Where can we find this information? We cannot find it anywhere because these are fabricated, incorrect, and false stories. But this is not the fault of the Shankaracharya of Puri, as he believed it was the truth, because it is written in the Srimad Bhagavad, and similar things are written in other places like the Bhavishya Puran. He believed in his Purans, so thought that it must be true. He did not analyze what was written there. The Brahmins of the past used to analyze what was written and deliberate upon them to see if what was written was true or not. And due to this quality, they became the disciples of the Buddha during the time of the Buddha and later on as well. But later, the agenda of Adi Shankaracharya was to establish that the Vedas are true. When we talk about the Vedas, they actually include only the Rig Veda, Samved, Yajur Veda, and Atharva Veda, and the Upanishads connected to these. Other Purans are not the Vedas, but in later centuries, the Purans were considered to be Ved, and even the Ramayana was considered to be a Ved. In fact, these are historical texts, an entirely different category. The Vedas are Shruti texts, or that which is heard, which are different from Smriti texts, or that which is remembered. Purans are not even the Smritis, and it is the same case with Ramayana and Mahabharata. But these are all considered to be Ved in the Hindu religion.
तर भगवान बुद्धको वैदिक पालामा त चारवटा वेद पनि थिएन, तीनटा वेदमै थियो हैन. र त्रयी विद्या त्रयी वेद भन्ने पाइन्छ हैन.
But during the time of the Buddha, there were not 4 Vedas, but only 3, and terms such as Trayi Vidya and Trayi Ved, Trayi meaning a triad, referring to these can be found. In later centuries, Shankaracharya started calling 3 texts other than these Vedas Prasthan Trayi, referring to the triad of Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and Brahma Sutra. And what is the Brahma Sutra? It is the summary of the Upanishads. So the word Trayi, or the triad, started meaning these 3. But prior to this, Trayi referred to the 3 Vedas. And in Pali as well, we can find the term Divijja, meaning the wisdom triad. So this is how Hinduism evolved over time, and as it evolved, a tendency developed to close their eyes and hold the attitude that since this is our tradition and this is what our ancestors believed, this is the truth. This is the reason why even a scholar of Vedanta, such as Shankaracharya, resorted to such stories. The reason why someone who was such a great scholar, who should indeed have been analyzing and deliberating the Vedanta, instead gave credence to such stories. Therefore, there was no such Buddha as mentioned in these stories. So why were they created? As I mentioned earlier, these stories were created to subjugate Buddha Dharma by any means and to spread false stories about the Buddha. In the course of doing this, they themselves forgot the actual story of the Buddha, and so the writer wrote Anjana Sutta Kikatesu, or the son of Anjana born in Kikat.
जतिसुकै विद्वान भए पनि उहाँलाई हिन्दू धर्मको बारेमा थाहा थियो, बौद्ध धर्मको बारेमा थाहा थिएन. त्यो ताका राधाकृष्णको ताका बौद्ध धर्मको ग्रन्थहरू नै इङ्ग्लिसमा निस्किएको थिएन, 1-2 अपवाद बाहेक.
Radhakrishnan was a great scholar and he had knowledge about Hindu Dharma, but he did not know Buddha Dharma. During his time, Buddhist texts had not been translated into English except for a few, such as the Dhammapad. One cannot expound on what the Buddha taught and what Buddha Dharma is merely on the basis of reading these few books, because in order to understand any teaching, or its lexicon, or the shlokas or verses, one needs to understand the Purvapara, or what was said before that and what is said subsequently.
धम्मपद त श्रृङ्खलाबद्ध भन्दा पनि कलेक्सन हो विभिन्न उहाँको भनाइहरू र क्याटेगोरीमा वर्गमा बनाएर राखेको.
The Dhammapad is a collection of various sayings of the Buddha rather than a sequential discourse. In it, some of the Buddha's sayings are presented in a set of categories, and these have to be aligned with what the Buddha has said before. And it is the same case as well with other words. Now there is a tendency for people like Radhakrishnan, Swami Vivekananda, Sadhguru, Ravi Shankar, Prabhupada, and others to consider themselves a scholar of Buddhism by reading a single book. Why? Because there was no one in the Indian subcontinent or in South Asia to explain the Buddha Dharma in their languages. Whereas we had such teachers in the Nepali Himalayan belt, but they taught in the Tibetan language. These teachers could not teach in other languages, and neither could those people understand Tibetan. Thus, even when erroneous things were being written about Buddhism, there was no one there to protest and to point out the mistakes, so they were free to say and write whatever they wanted.
महामहिम राधाकृष्णज्यूको बारेको म प्रश्नतिर लागौँ. भगवान बुद्ध वैदिक थियो कि श्रमण थियो?
Now let's move towards the question relating to His Excellency Radhakrishnan Ji. Was Bhagavan Buddha a Vedic or a Shraman? Radhakrishnan has made a lot of mistakes in this, and many other Hindu yogis, such as Parahamsa Yogi and others, have also made this mistake. During the time of the Buddha, there were two main streams, the Brahmin Vedic stream and the Shraman stream. The present-day Hindu residents of the Indian subcontinent or South Asia have forgotten this, that the Shraman traditions existed at the time of the Buddha. Shramans already existed at that time. Who were the Shramans?
श्रमण भनेको जुन वेदमा भनेको कुरालाई बाट चित्त नबुझेर छोडेर म के हुँ कस्तो हुँ आदि आदि यति नै हो जिन्दगी भने खोज्ने तीलाई श्रमण भन्थे.
They were those who, being unsatisfied with what was said in the Vedas, left that to seek answers to questions such as, who am I? Is this all life is? And such. These seekers were called Shramans. Historically, Shramans already existed before the arrival of the Rig Veda in the Magad region. The small statues of people sitting in cross-legged meditation posture that are found in Mohenjo-daro and Harappa are of Shramans. Those who attempted to seek answers through meditation and various kinds of ascetic practices were called Shramans. Even those who were born in Brahmin families and who were of the Vedic traditions, being unsatisfied by what was taught in the Vedas, would go to Shraman gurus to learn from them and would become Shraman themselves. And once a person starts engaging in Shraman practices, he is a Shraman and no longer a Vedic Brahmin. This used to occur even before the time of the Buddha. According to historians and anthropologists, the Rig Veda is the oldest among the Vedas because its language is different from that of the other Vedas. And even the other three Vedas are not in Sanskrit, but in the Chanda language. The language used in those Vedas is called Chanda and not Sanskrit. Later on, that language was named Vedic Sanskrit. But Sanskrit was actually developed after the Buddha by Panini. The word Sanskrit itself means made better and adorned. Thus all the four Vedas are written in Chanda and not in Sanskrit, which later became known as Vedic Sanskrit, once the Sanskrit language itself became popular and commonly used. Even so, the Rig Veda is much older than the other three because its language and style differ. And although it has dissipated quite a bit,
अहिले धेरै कमसल भइसक्यो तर इरानको उत्तरी भेग सेन्ट्रल एसिया उज्बेकिस्तान एरियाहरूमा जुन अहुरा मज्दाको उपासना गर्ने जरथुस्त्र हैन जरोस्टर भन्छ इंग्लिशमा संस्कृतमा जरथुस्त्र
There is a tradition found in the areas of northern Iran and of Central Asia, such as Uzbekistan, which includes the worship of Ahura Mazda, and whose founder is called Zarathustra in Sanskrit or Zoroaster in English. Their holy text or their Ved is called Zend-Avesta. Well, it is incorrect to call it their Ved because the name of their Shastra and Sutra or scripture is Zend-Avesta. Now, the language of the Zend-Avesta and of the Rigved are very alike compared with the remaining Vedas. When the first Indo-Aryans came to India, they only had the Rigved with them, and the other Vedas were developed later from the Rigved. During this period, the Indo-Aryans interacted with the shamans who were already there, and the Upanishads that raised questions such as what is Atma or self, what is Gyan or wisdom, and such arose from this interaction. So the Upanishads developed from these interactions, and they are also considered to be a part of the Vedas, but they were developed later. That is why they are called Uttar Mimamsa, while the Vedas are called Purva Mimamsa. Purva means from before and Uttar means from later. And Radha Krishnan was not able to comprehend that there were a large number of shamans during the time of the Buddha. There were also many Shraman gurus, for example Mahavir, who is still renowned to this day. Jains call him Bhagavan Mahavir. He was also a Shraman, and that Shraman tradition still exists in India among the Jains.
अब भगवान बुद्धै एक शाक्यहरू जो जात हो मनुस्मृति आदिहरूमा पनि स्पष्टै भनिन्छ कि यी जुन मगध आदि कोशल एरियाका जात भन्दा फरक हो.
Now, taking Bhagavan Buddha himself, it is stated clearly in the text Manusmriti that the Shakya, which is the caste of the Buddha's family, were different from the other castes in the Magad and Koshal areas, and that they were of a lower caste. And in the Pali Tripitaka as well, it is found written that in the time of the Buddha, the Brahmins considered the other castes, including the Shakyas, as lower castes and took pride in their superiority. It can be seen even from this that the Shakyas were not Vedic Brahmins. The Manusmriti itself did not consider them to be among the Vedic Brahmins, nor among the Kshatriyas who accepted the Vedic Brahmins. But the Shakyas on their part considered the Vedic Brahmins and those Kshatriyas to be lower than them, because they, the Shakyas, were Shamans. This is the first point. Secondly, where did Bhagavan Buddha go after leaving his home? He went directly to two Shaman gurus to learn from them, and not two Brahmin gurus. This also shows that he was a Shraman and not a Brahmin. Otherwise, he would have gone to learn from a Vedic Rishi. There were Vedic Rishis at that time as well. So why did he not go to a Vedic Rishi, but rather directly to two Shraman gurus? It is said that both these Shraman gurus were Jain gurus, disciples of Mahavir. So the Buddha learned from them, and what did he learn? The practice of shamatha, also known as calm abiding meditation. And when he realized that shamatha by itself is not enough, he left them to seek further. They in fact had told him that he had already achieved the same level as them, and asked him to teach there along with them. Both the gurus, Alar Kalam and Udrak Ramputra, said this. And both of these gurus were from the Brahmin caste, but they were Shramans. They had left the Vedas and had taken up meditation. It is said by many that these two gurus had learned from Mahavir. After he left them both, he went to Bodh Gaya.
र बोध गयामा जब प्राप्ति भयो भनिन्छ उहाँले के प्राप्ति गर्यो के थाहा पाउनु भयो.
In Bodh Gaya, when he got attainment, what was that attainment? What knowledge did he attain? Radhakrishnan had not actually studied this. And as I just said before, and have also said in the previous teaching and the one before that, in the Dhammacakka Pavatana Sutta and the Nagara Sutta of the Samyutta Nikaya, it is said,
Pubbhakehi samasambuddhehi anuyato.
Pubbhakehi samasambuddhehi anuyato. Puran jaso puranamago. Pubba Kehi means from before or earlier, and Samasambuddhehi Anuyato means that which the Samyak Sambuddhas, or the correctly and totally enlightened ones, followed, adhered to, and taught. And Puran Jaso Puranamago, meaning ancient road, ancient path. So the Buddha said, such a path I have obtained again. This is in the Nagara Sutta. In the Dhammacakka Pavatana Sutta, he says,
Anusuttesu, यो सुनिएको छैन.
Anusuttesu, meaning that which is not heard now. But at that time, the Rig Veda was definitely heard. Two other Vedas, excluding the Atharva Veda, also existed at that time. The Pali texts refer to Divijja, or the wisdom triad. Thus, these three Vedas existed at that time. But what the Buddha attained was not in these Vedas, because what he attained was, as he said, not heard of at that time. Another point is that after the Buddha started to teach, his disciples called him a Mahashraman, and he called himself a Shraman as well. And at the time he started to teach, those teachings were not in the Vedas. The Buddha himself declared this, and we can also examine all these teachings that still exist. The Vedas have Atmavadin teachings with a belief in an unchanging self, whereas Buddha's teachings are Anatmavadin, or a belief in no self. So how would he have taught what is in the Vedas? And how could he have been born a Hindu and died as a Hindu? These are all made up, mixed up ideas. Because he was cremated, they say he must be a Hindu. But it is not correct that only Hindus are cremated. The Shramans too had the practice of cremation, and there are other groups in the world who cremate their dead as well. Just because someone is cremated, it does not make them a Hindu. And the teachings that he taught over and over again are available even today. But if one wants to learn these teachings, then one has to learn it from a genuine Buddhist teacher, a Sadguru or authentic guru, or from an authentic Theravadi Kalyan Mitra, or spiritual guide, and not from another Hindu guru who claims to know Buddha Dharma, but has not studied with any Buddhist guru and has not studied any Buddhist sutta, sutra, tantra, or shastra. Again, we are using the same words like sutra and shastra, but in Hindu Dharma, all the texts are called shastra. But in Buddha Dharma, the bhashya or commentaries are called shastra. Sutta or sutra means the words of the Buddha, and tantra is also the words of the Buddha. And shastra are the commentaries on these. One has to study and understand the Buddhist sutta, sutra, tantra, and shastra with a person who has also studied them from an authentic Buddhist guru, not with a Hindu just because they are interested in them, or with a Hindu guru who does not know Buddha Dharma and just makes up stories such as these, which are false. Such as that Buddha did not teach anything that is not in the Vedic texts. Well, is there an Atma or no self in the Vedic texts? Do the Vedic texts say that there is no Atma?
यो कतिपय हिन्दू गुरुहरूले यसलाई पनि तोडमतोड गर्छ. यो सबै आत्मा होइन नि त, जुन हामी सबै देखिरहन्छ, यो आत्मा होइन नि, त्यही त अनात्मा हो नि.
Some Hindu gurus try to distort this, and they say, well, the things that we see externally are not Atma, so that is what is meant by Anatma. But Bhagwan Buddha did not mean that only the external objects are Anatma, but also that what is in here, or the self, is Anatma as well. There is no such Atma inside either. So what is Atma? It is eternal and remains unchanging and permanent. The root or the core of the Vedic religion is this Atma that is eternal and remains unchanging and permanent. Whereas the Buddha taught Anatma, or no self. Anatma, or no self, does not merely mean that there is no Atma in external objects, but it means that such an Atma that remains unchangingly permanent and eternal does not exist anywhere. In order to truly understand this, one needs to study with authentic Buddhist gurus and study authentic Buddhist texts, not the interpretations of Hindus.
शङ्कराचार्यले पनि उल्टो पाल्टो व्याख्या गरेको उहाँको भाष्यमै स्पष्ट देखिन्छ. त्यसपछि उहाँलाई अनुकरण गर्ने.
Even Shankaracharya, interpreted it in a skewed manner, which is clearly seen in his Bhashya or commentary. Then, those who imitated him afterwards, such as Madhavacharya, Ramanujoacharya, Nimbarkacharya, Ballavacharya, Yamunacharya, all of them have written wrongly about Buddha Dharma. And finally, in the 19th century, this was done by Vivekananda as well. Radhakrishnan just repeated what Vivekananda had said. Vivekananda had said exactly this. But Vivekananda also had not studied any Buddhist texts. He had not studied with any Buddhist guru and had not put any effort in finding out what the Buddha actually taught. He was a disciple of Ramakrishna Parahamsa, and Ramakrishna Parahamsa himself did not know anything about the Buddha. He had not studied any of it, and he did not know Buddha Dharma. Then how would Vivekananda know anything about it?